In this video, I will teach you how to download Ubuntu, install it onto your computer, and do your first steps. Let's start. Hi, I am Jean from Linux Guides, and I am doing Linux videos for about 10 years and already taught many people to switch from Windows to Linux. Today, we are going to install Ubuntu next to our Windows 11. I personally highly recommend you to not to ditch Windows 11 for Ubuntu. I recommend you to install it alongside with Windows 11, because then you can decide which system to start at each boot and you will always have a backup system in place. If you are then more familiar with Ubuntu at a later point of time, you can then ditch Windows 11 there too. Also, this video works with Windows 7, Windows 8 and also with Windows 10. For us, it's almost completely irrelevant, and I would say let's start. For that, we open up our menu and search for disk. Here we can see the setting create and format hard disk partition. We open up that manager and then we have to decide where to put our Ubuntu. In my case, I want to shrink the C partition down, which is about 100 gigabytes on my test system, and install on the following free space my Ubuntu system. For production systems, more about 100 gigabytes are recommended. I'm going here with 20 gigs, but this is only for demonstration purposes. I right-click this partition and select Shrink Volume. Then I can enter the amount, how much I want to shrink the partition. I type in 20 and 3 zeros following. Then I select Shrink in here and we have our 20 gigs unallocated disk space. And this is great. I close the disk management and let's head over to ubuntu.com. On Ubuntu, I select Get Ubuntu, download Ubuntu Desktop, and then I select download 24.4 LTS. This takes a moment. These are about 6 gigabytes, so it could take some time. While the Ubuntu installation image is downloading, let's open up a new tab and search for etcher.io. In here in Etcher, I select Download Etcher and I'm selecting the portable version for Windows in here and head over to download. Perfect. After both files are finished downloading, I head over to my downloads folder and here we see our Balena Etcher portable and our Ubuntu installation image. Now it is time to plug in your USB stick. It's important that all data on this USB stick will be erased. After the installation of Ubuntu, you can reformat your USB stick and use it again just how you would intend. I'm double-clicking Balena Etcher portable and I'm selecting Flash from File, head over to Downloads and select our Ubuntu image, which we have downloaded some minutes before. And then we can select our target. This should be the USB stick. Because this is a demonstration video, I don't have any USB stick. I already created one. But here you have to select your USB stick and go to Select. And then in the end, we select Flash and then our Ubuntu installation image will be written onto the USB stick from which we will install Ubuntu in a second. So yeah, our USB stick is now finished and ready. Then we have to find out how to boot from this USB stick on your special computer. For that, I'm typing in to my search bar my computer model, for example, and then boot from USB. Then you will come to, for example, a support site from your manufacturer. And here you can see we have to press F11 or delete repeatedly while rebooting our computer. But this is only for this model. On your computer, it could be a different key. But normally you reboot your computer and then have to press a special key to get into the boot menu. On some models, you have to enable the boot menu in the BIOS settings first, but this will be described in these instructions. Also, some videos could be very helpful. So I would say, let's start together from our USB stick and see you in a second when we are starting from it. If you have done everything right, then we land in a menu like this one here, and I'm selecting Try or Install Ubuntu with my Enter key. On most systems, this starts automatically after some time, but we can speed it up by pressing Enter. When we have done everything right, we jump into the installer of Ubuntu. We are selecting our language and select Next. In the next step, we can turn on some accessibility settings, for example, a bigger font. But this is okay for me, so I select Next, and then we can select our keyboard layout. You can also detect your keyboard layout. I'm doing this one because I have a German one. But yeah, just choose your keyboard layout. This detect function works really good. So I select Next in my installer, and then we can choose if we want to connect to the internet or not. I highly recommend you to connect to the internet. So in my case, I select Next, and we want to install Ubuntu. So yeah, also Next. Then we have to select if we want a automated installation, but this is only for advanced purposes. So we stick to the interactive installation and head over to the next screen, and here we can select whether the default selection or extended selection. In the extended selection, you have more software pre-installed, like for example LibreOffice or Thunderbird. I highly recommend you to choose the extended selection. If you just choose the default selection, then only a web browser and some auxiliary software comes with Ubuntu. So I'm going with the extended selection here. In the next step, we can choose if we want to install third-party software and download and install support for additional media formats. Yes, I want to do this, and head over to our next screen here. Here we see our options. I want to install Ubuntu alongside Windows Boot Manager, so this one looks good. I select Next, and then we can create our local account. This is not online, this is only on your local computer. I'm going into here with Jean. Then you can choose a computer name or just leave it on the default, and then I can type in my password, and then I can choose if I want to require my password to log in, so I have to enter it at every start, or if my user should be automatically logged in and you don't type in any password to get to your data. So I select Next in here. We don't want to use Active Directory unless you're a company, and we select Next. Then I select my time zone, which is in my case Germany, and I'm selecting Next, and then we can review our choices. This looks everything fine, so I select Install. So now Ubuntu is installing. This takes a moment. Enjoy the presentation and see you in some minutes. After some minutes, Ubuntu 24.4 is now installed and ready to use. Perfect. I'm selecting Restart Now in here. After some time, we get the message, please remove the installation medium, and then press Enter. This is okay for us. Then we can plug out our USB stick and afterwards press Enter. After selecting Ubuntu on my start screen, Ubuntu boots up, and here we can type in our password now. And we are getting our welcome screen. Let's head over to the next site here. Here we can enable Ubuntu Pro if we want. This is only interesting for companies. We as normal people don't have any purpose using Ubuntu Pro unless you want to run your Ubuntu client for more than 5 years without upgrading to a newer version. But we skip that for now, and I don't recommend it you. So in the next step, we can help to improve Ubuntu. I personally don't want this, so I select No, don't share system data, and select Next. Now we can finish everything, and yeah, Ubuntu is now installed and ready to use. There are some things I would like to do with you. And the first thing is, if we head over to our menu, which is on the left bottom corner here, and we search for additional drivers, then we open it up, and here you can install some additional drivers if they are important for the system, for example NVIDIA drivers. At the most cases, the Linux kernel in Ubuntu supports almost every hardware, so we don't have to install additional drivers. Just NVIDIA, for example, has its specialty. So after that we can click close, and if you installed a new driver, then it is now time to restart your computer. And after that, let's head over to the display settings in here. We type in display and open up the settings menu with display. Here we can select our resolution and also our scale. We can also activate fractional scaling if you want something between 100 and 200%, for example. But I recommend fractional scaling only to use as a last option. If the font is too small, then you can also head over to accessibility in the left menu here and select seeing, and here we can activate a large text setting, and then every text is printed bigger, which is a great option for almost all of us if our display is too small. So yeah, that is it for the display settings, and let's get to the point where we can install additional software. I head over to the App Center, which is also on the left bar. I click on it, and here we can discover some very useful apps in here. For example, everything for our to-do list. Here you can install some additional browsers, Office software, and explore some new software, for example Remina for remote desktop clients, or many other software options are definitely worth a shot. Let's head over to the search and search for GDebi, which is the package installer that we can install additional .deb files, which is something like a MSI or exe file from Windows. I select install in here, then we have to type in our password. It's very important. If we type in our password, then we are authenticating us as an administrator, so some administrative tasks will be done. And I press enter, and GDebi is installing. After some time, our GDebi package installer is installed, and then I would say let's go for shopping and let's explore some further software, especially if we have to deal with Word files or Microsoft Office files. Because LibreOffice, which is pre-installed in the extended selection, is a great office suite. I personally use this all the day, but if I have to deal with, for example, Word or Excel formats, then LibreOffice isn't the right tool because of weird formatting and the incompatibility to this proprietary file format. But there is some software out there which I can recommend you if you have to deal with Word files, and this is called SoftMaker Free Office. We select SoftMaker Free Office here and head over to the free download. Then we select Linux, and then we select the Deb package because Ubuntu is depending on Debian and we are using the Deb file format here. So I download it, and if this guy has downloaded, I click on this file and select GDebi package installer and select open. Now I can install the package by just click on it, type in my password, and then the package installer is running. This takes some time. After some time, the installation finished, then we can close everything and also close all other windows here. Then I head over to my apps and search for FreeOffice. Here we have FreeOffice Text Maker, Plan Maker, and Spreadsheets, I guess. No, it's called just Presentations. But yeah, these two programs are very good in dealing with Word formats, with the formats from Word and Excel and PowerPoint. But if I want to create a new document, I'm using LibreOffice because it's completely free, open source, and I would say it's a default on Linux. Then let us head over to our file manager. This file manager works a bit differently in comparison to Windows. On the left side we have some bookmarks, for example documents, downloads and music. But these are no libraries like in Windows. These are just some folders which are on the left side. So if we delete our music folder and I want to click on music, then yeah, it doesn't find it anywhere. So yeah, we can just recreate this folder by pressing right click and select new folder and select music. Perfect. And after that, our music link is now working again. And yeah, these are just files in your home folder. This is your personal folder. You can store there everything, every file. And also some config files are in here. If you head over to the burger menu on this side, I personally don't like this position. Maybe they are changing this in another version. Then we can head over and select show hidden files. Then we have some hidden files in here, which are config files for programs we opened up, and also some other configurations for our user itself. So please don't delete there anything unless you really know what you are doing. If you want to see other partitions on your computer, select other locations, then you can see some other partitions. Here you also would see your Windows partition. In my video, I'm tricking a bit, and if you have some network shares available, then these are also displayed here. If you want to connect to a server for your own, then you can type in the server address at the bottom, and here you can see a quick hint how to use this. There's also a documentation about it if you want to know more about it. But yeah, if we want to connect, for example, our Google account or Microsoft account, we can also do this by searching for online accounts in our menu. Here we have it, online accounts, and then we can connect, for example, Google, Microsoft, and also Nextcloud. I'm a huge fan of Nextcloud. It is your own personal cloud. You can host it on your own hardware or somewhere in the internet or somewhere in the web. I personally highly recommend you using this one. But yeah, this is everything to the online accounts. Also very powerful. Then, for example, your calendar, contacts, and also files are synced, which makes it really easy. As a next step, let's write some emails. You can use Thunderbird Mail for that. Thunderbird is a great mail client. I'm using this all the day. As a last step, I would like to present you a very useful helper in your Linux time. And this is called Linux Assistant. Linux Assistant is a small tool I developed myself. It's completely free and open source. It is working on many distributions, has a ton of downloads and very happy users. And we can easily download this one. It helps you at administrative tasks. For example, comes with a security check and a ton of cool features which are expanding your Linux experience. So after downloading it, I just install it with our GDebi package installer. I'm selecting install package here, authenticate me. This takes a time. After that, I'm closing everything and we are opening it up, which is here. Here's a quick introduction. Our recognized system is correct. Okay, I press yes. And also we can activate a hotkey if you want. I personally recommend it. And let's set up your computer. I highly recommend you that, because then Linux Assistant asks us at the next screen here to install Flatpak. Flatpak is another app format how you can install software on your Linux system, and Flatpak has many software projects which are only hosted there and are working on every Linux distribution. But Ubuntu has its own Flatpak, which is called Snap, and that's because Ubuntu doesn't support Flatpak by default, but you can install it very easily with Linux Assistant. I highly recommend you this. I select Setup Flatpak, then we type in our password and Flatpak is setting up. This takes a moment. After that, we can select Next, and here we can now choose more browsers if we want. For example, also Google Chrome. I'm going with Google Chrome in here. I'm selecting Next. Then we can select additional Office software. This is okay for me, how it is. So I select Next. And then we can select some communication software like Signal, Discord, Zoom, Teams, Jitsi or Element. I'm personally fine with it. Or you can also remove Thunderbird, for example, if you don't want to use it. And we select Next. And then we can head over to the automatic configuration. Let's do this. Here we are asked To install some additional multimedia codecs, I highly recommend you this. Also to update the system to the latest version, and also to configure some automatic updates, for example, for security reasons. And if you have more than 100 gigabytes of disk space, then I am personally also recommending you automatic snapshots. So when your system don't want to run at the moment, you could recover it, but this is not for your data. I'm deselecting automatic snapshots in my case and select next. Then we can type in our password, and if you are curious about what Linux Assistant does, just click on show commands and then you can see everything Linux Assistant is doing. Everything is open source and just administrator system like an experienced administrator. So yeah, it's very cool, I would say. Let's wait until this one is finished. After some time Linux Assistant is finished, I select next, then we can see a small introduction and I click on let's start. Here we can see some information right out of the box. Which kernel are we running? How is our CPU, RAM and swap usage? And also how much disk space is available. But there's more to discover. You can find everything at the feature overview here. But we head over to the security check. Just search for it and then we select it, type in our password, and then it is analyzing our system security, which is almost good, but it is detecting that no firewall is active if you are running behind your local network and you don't take your computer to public networks like in a cafe or something like this. Then this is completely okay. If you want to get more secure, then a firewall could help. For example, we can press fix here. I type in my password and it is doing the whole stuff. And we can reanalyze our system security and then we see perfect, our security check is everything green. This doesn't mean if all the check marks are green that you are invulnerable to everything, but it gives you a good overview about your overall security handling. Also, many more functions like disk space cleaning are in here, but I'm showing these features in another video. So that was it for today. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe to this YouTube channel to get more useful tips and videos in the future, and see you in the next one. Bye!